In an article for Daily Faceoff, Matt Larkin linked the Leafs to a potential landing spot for Philadelphia defenseman Rasmus Ristolainen. Do you like the fit? 2 years left at 5.1 million per season after this one. On paper, I think it makes a lot of sense, but cap wise, I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, as we were talking off air, I think Philly would have to eat a lot of that money and retain a whole bunch of that salary to make it work. But, as a 30-year-old defenseman, a high pick who hasn't really worked out, as you mentioned, Buffalo kind of might have ruined that guy, and now he's under Tortorella in Philly. And I haven't watched this guy a lot. I don't sit down with my time and watch Buffalo Sabres games, and I'd like to watch Philly a little bit more, but just doesn't happen. And I can just see that this guy has got potential, right-handed shot. He's a big body. He's not aged out. He could fit. I think if you put him on our roster right now, he makes the team better, no question. Can you make a deal like that? What do you got to give up for him? How much can they retain? That's a completely different story. But it's intriguing that these names are starting to funnel in as we creep closer and closer to the March 7th trade
Yep.
deadline.
It's a good synopsis. Great breakdown. You need a ghostwriter or something for that breakdown of Rasmus Ristolainen. But yeah, I echo those sentiments. And on top of that, as you've noticed in the standings, like there's just so many teams involved on, in the Eastern Conference playoff standings, where I wonder if you get to a level where a lot of these teams are buyers or just stand pat and don't sell. And Ristolainen, quite frankly, has been a name linked back to his days with Buffalo to Toronto. And I just think there are probably better options out there. Like, for example, Luke Shen, even at his age, I still think has a lot to offer. He could be a potential fit. But I think, again, on the surface, you look at the prototypical guy that would probably flourish under Craig Berube. It is Rasmus Ristolainen, but it's about price tag. It's about cap hit. And it's also about the return. Like we've talked about this quite a bit this season with the Maple Leafs. What do they have to give up in return if it's not going to be any of their top prospects? They're missing some draft picks. You run out of racetrack really, really quickly, and then you don't want to get involved with some of these goalies they have too. So, like, what are you trading is always my question too.
Well, yeah, that's what people don't understand when they're talking about trades. Get so and so. It's like no one's giving anyone a value away for free. You have to trade. It's like a trade. It has to make sense for both people. Do you know how a trade works? And in any facet of life, I'll trade you this for that. You can't trade a snack pack for a banana because kids don't want that shit. No one's trading their good stuff for your garbage. So, I mean, it's just, and then you talk about the cap. It's difficult to make trades right now. So I don't get too invested at this point in time. Everyone, for some reason, people love to gobble that stuff up, and the insiders, and there's rumors of this, and people go bananas. And I'm just like, why even bother if that's just something that's never going to happen? Logistically, I wait to see when things are really close and say, okay, let's hammer it down and see what needs to happen to get this thing over the hump. But I just don't think we're there yet.
Put it this way: do you think the Leafs could utilize or use? We'll frame him as a top four defenseman, a guy, a right-handed shooter. I still think they're one shy, so I would be open to it at the very least.
Yeah, me too. I mean, you look at like a Connor Timmins and a Myers and the guys that
Yeah.
they're using. I just think if you want to go deep in the playoffs, if you're trying to win the Stanley Cup this year and make a run and do something special, I think there's a little bit of a chink in the chain, so to speak, on the back end where you're going to have to play these guys, 17, 18, 19, 20 minutes in a night. And that's just throughout the series. And as you go deeper in the conference final, I think you're going to get exposed a little bit. And, just one kind of guy that's on the edge of kind of being that stud, but could also play, in the bottom pairing. You insert that guy somehow, and it just shores you up and just alleviates a lot of pressure. Your puck's in the hands of the forwards a lot more often. You're out of your zone a lot quicker. Your goaltender's not tested and tried as much. I think they could use a right-handed defenseman to jump into that slot.